Okay. All right, Mr. Torres, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You're muted, sir.
Also, may Mr. Meyer be excused if he wishes to leave?
Yeah, Mr. Myers, you are excused. You don't need to stay on. Mr. Torres, you need to unmute. You need to unmute.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Was the answer yes?
Yes, I swear, Your Honor.
Okay, let's proceed.
Please state your name.
Ramiro Torres.
Mr. Torres, I'm Joe Ackles. I represent the Zitouns in this lawsuit. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Do you work for ISL Electric?
Yes, sir.
Were you asked by Mr. El Chami to pull a permit for the job at 2808 Maple Springs?
No, sir.
Did you pull a permit for the job at 2808 Maple Springs?
Yes, sir.
Why did you do that?
Because there's another guy that goes by the same name, Ramiro de la Rosa. He's a journeyman electrician. He's my friend. We work in different projects together, and this was his project, and we validated on that permit.
And I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last thing you said.
I validated on that permit. ISL validated that permit with the city of Dallas.
What do you mean you validated that permit?
You don't pull a permit when a general contractor or builder, they pull the city permit. Can be a master electrician, or in this case, a plumber. I mean, in this case, an electrician, but what I'm saying, a master plumber, master electrician, or master, AC guy, they can just validate on the permit because the builder or general contractor already pulled the permit. Just validate on the permit.
Okay, Rob, would you show Plaintiff's Exhibit 6, page 57, please? Mr. Torres, this will show up on your screen, I believe.
Okay.
This is a contractor's authorization, and it says that ISL Electric is going to do the work at 2808 Maple Springs. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And you allowed Dylan El Chami to use your name as to be the contractor to do the work at Maple Springs?
Well, he's not using my name. We're working, and I'm working with Ramiro, with the other Ramiro. But I guess, I don't know. I don't understand the question.
Well, did ISL Electric do the electrical work?
Yes, we did. And, we validated on that permit. Yes.
Well, you did what? You validated the permit, which means
Yes.
you got this permit for ISL Electric to do the work.
Uh-huh.
And ISL Electric is a master plumber. You are a master plumber. Is that
No.
Excuse
ISL
me.
Electric, master electrician.
ISL Electric is a master electrician, correct?
Correct.
But ISL Electric did not actually do the electrical work at the property, did it?
Well, how can I put it? I mean, ISL Electric is responsible. We validated the permit.
You validated the permit, but who actually did the work?
My friend, Ramiro de la Rosa.
And he does not work for ISL Electric, does he?
We work together.
Does he work for ISL Electric?
No, sir.
Okay, and is he a master electrician?
He's a journeyman electrician.
So he's not a master electrician.
No.
What were you paid to lend your name to do the plumbing work on this property?
I didn't get paid nothing.
Did you ask to be paid?
No. Like I said, Ramiro and I, we're friends. He helps me with some projects. So in this case, that's his project, and I don't charge him for that.
So you represented to the city of Dallas that ISL Electric, a master plumber a master electrician would do the electrical work, but in reality, ISL Electric did not do the electrical work on this property. Did I say that correctly?
I mean, ISL Electric is responsible. So I'm guessing, I'm responsible. So we're doing it.
Did you supervise Ramiro's work?
I stopped a couple of times. Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Cross.
No cross, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
May Mr. Torres be excused, Your Honor?
Mr. Torres, you are excused. Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we call Samuel Chami.
Mr. Alchami, is he here? There he is. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Alchami.
Good
Uh,
morning. Phil.
Does Versailles advertise on the internet?
We don't particularly advertise on the internet. We have a website. We don't advertise.
Oh, you have a website that promotes your business,
Yes, sir.
and
We don't advertise. We don't advertise on Facebook or FaceTime or we don't advertise.
okay, but you do have a website that advertises what your business is about. Is that right?
We do have a website.
Okay, and by having a website, are you soliciting business from potential people that want to build homes?
Not necessarily. We pick and choose who we want to do business with.
But why do you have a website?
Everybody has a website, Joe.
Okay. So you have a website because everybody has a website, or do you have a website to tell potential customers what your business is about?
You can say this, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you advertise that you're a home builder committed to creating timeless and sophisticated architectural styles for luxury estates?
Yes, sir.
Do you build outside of Texas?
No, sir.
Okay. But do you advertise and build for customers that are located outside of Texas?
No, sir.
So isn't Mr. Zitoun someone that you build for?
Yes, sir.
And he's out of Texas, isn't he?
No, sir. His
Okay.
headquarters out in Dallas. He has a residence in Dallas. He has a residence in Houston. He has a residence in Ibiza, Spain. He has a residence in London, I believe. But he's a Texan. His headquarters, his whole company is here in Texas, in Dallas, as a matter of fact.
Do you obtain products and services for your homes that you build from places outside of Texas?
No, sir.
You don't get marble from another country?
Well, sometimes we import some stuff from Europe or some stuff. Yeah.
What other stuff do you import from either other states in the United States or?
It's just all the stuff is locally marketed here.
Okay. Who are the founding partners of Versailles?
My son and I.
Okay. And do you advertise that you are an A to Z firm from designing and conceptualizing to planning, engineering, permitting, and building from the ground up?
I don't advertise, but we do that, sir.
You do put that on your website?
Yes, sir. I don't even know if the website is active, but yes, sir.
Okay. And do you put on your website that Versailles has experience in the old world hand-drawn design to
Yes,
3D
sir.
modeling?
Yes, sir.
And do you advertise that you are a turnkey firm with extensive knowledge in all aspects of real estate, land development, construction and finance to help us better serve our purpose?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In this lawsuit, you have said that you are the custodian of the records of Versailles. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And what does that mean to you?
It means I keep records, I keep paperwork, I keep plans, we're just a small, father-son little operation. We're not like a big fancy Fortune 500 company. We're just a little moms and pops thing. I mean,
Well, I
we do
understand.
good work. Yes, sir. Sorry.
I understand that, but you advertise that you are an A to Z firm. From top to bottom, you handle everything.
To tell you the truth, Mr. Eccles, I don't even know that the website is even up or active. My son designed when he decided to come and learn and try to do some construction. He designed a little website, fancy little, how. But to tell you the truth, I don't send emails to anybody or solicit any business per se. But
Well, let me,
sorry, I
Judge,
didn't mean-
may I have share screen, Your Honor?
You may.
And I think I've got it. Can you see this Versailles, Dallas? I'm just trying to refresh your recollection. Can you
Yes,
see
sir.
this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It says Versailles Custom Home is an international design firm and custom home builder committed to creating timeless and sophisticated architecture styles for luxury estates based in Dallas. Why are you saying you're an international design firm?
Well, if somebody would call me in let's say in Dubai, they wanted me to draw something for them, or I would have, but this hadn't happened.
And then down here you say we are an A to Z firm, which are the things I asked you earlier. You do put that on your website, do you not?
Mr. Ackles, I don't even know. I don't want to be combative, but I don't even know if this website is, but yes, I do. I have the ability to do A to Z.
Okay. And by A to Z means you handle everything from top to bottom, right?
Absolutely, I can.
And you are a qualified builder who can, as it says on the bottom, build beautiful and breathtaking homes. Is that right?
Yes, yes, sir.
And you're not advertising that you're just a father and son barely getting by doing small business, are you?
I didn't say that. I
No.
didn't say barely getting by, but we are. Yes, we are a father and son business.
But you claim you're an international design firm. Is that
Question, Your
right?
Honor, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay. Let me stop sharing. Let's, Rob, would you put up Plaintiff's Exhibit 31, page 267, please? Blow that up, please. Mr. El-Chami, in your communications with Jordan Zitoun, and this email here, Plaintiff's Exhibit 31, or part of Plaintiff's Exhibit 31, is dated August 6th, 2016. You tell Jordan, I have 100 emails, site plans, setbacks, drawings, elevations, all kinds of answers to the city. I just do not copy you guys on them because 90% of them are just irritating, no essence, city bureaucracy stuff. Love you guys. We'll get through it. Where are the hundreds of emails, site plans, setbacks, drawings, elevations, all kinds of answers?
You probably have seen, I would say, between site plans, setbacks, drawings, elevations, and phone calls between the city and I and the people that I hired to go to the city on my behalf. So many answers to the city. I think Mr. Baskin alone produced, if you want to add the pages, probably about 50 to 60 pages. And then there's more than 40 or 50 emails. And there's a lot of set plans. There's a lot of communication with the city.
Where are the ones that are missing?
What do you mean? You
Question, Your
have,
Honor, assumes that's not in evidence.
Well,
you've seen from Mr. Baskin at least 40, 50 sheets of paper of drawings and set plans and
let's
and
go back.
emails.
Let's go back to Plaintiff's Exhibit or Defendant's Exhibit 117, please, Rob. Now you found these 4 or 5 pages after we started this trial, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it's your position that that this page right here, which has an approval from the city of Dallas, is the final plan approval for this site and building on this property. Is that right?
It was not the final, Mr. Ackles. It was one of them.
So you're telling us that this document is not the final plan for the.
It was the final at the time. Yes, sir.
But was it changed?
It was ultimately built, Mr. Ackles.
Was there a different plan after this that was approved by the city?
Yes, sir. I think we switched the garages to the front, and we took the master bedroom area to the rear to be facing the creek.
But was that plan, I've seen those different plans that were drawn by the Baskins. We've talked about that. But were any of those plans drawn by the Baskins approved by the city like they approved this plan?
Absolutely, sir. Or they wouldn't let us frame it and plumb it and do electrical that way.
Well,
Every
Rob,
step of the way was, my apologies. Go ahead.
Would you zoom in on the city approval stamp in the lower left-hand side on this exhibit, please? this is the city approval stamp. Do you have any other set of plans with this city approval stamp on them?
I think the ones I took to Julie's office, I think that when you fold the plans, then the city does stamps all around them, so they know, I believe. And then there's a lot more to it too. There's two sets, at least one or two sets with about 10 pages would be left at the job site at all times for inspectors and for zoning and planning.
Where are those plans?
Those plans usually would stay at the construction site.
Okay. My first question was, do you have any other plans with this city approval stamp on them besides this one page?
No, sir, but if there is, they would be either left at the location at the construction site, or with Mr. Jordan and Aaron Zitoun, or if we probably dig deeper, we can go to the records of the city of Dallas, and they should have a lot of communication. Based on what I saw earlier, you'll put something up on the screen that had like 4 lines, is what Mr. Scott said, that that's all he got from the city, which
I just want to be clear and
Yes.
make sure we understand.
my apologies. Go ahead.
I want to make sure we understand what you're saying. I think you've testified that this document, Plaintiff's Exhibit, Defendant's Exhibit 117, is not the final plan approved by the city.
It's one of the plans that was approved by the city.
I hear you saying it's one of the plans. I'm wanting to know, I think you've testified this is not the final plans approved by the city. Is that accurate?
Mr. Ackles, this was approved by the city, then it was modified to switch the master bathroom to the garage area and the garage area to the master bedroom area.
I understand that. I want to know whether or not that you have another set of plans.
No, sir, in my possession, I don't. I'm sorry, maybe I didn't understand what you were asking, but I do not have anything else.
All right. Do you believe there is another set of plans that was approved by the city and stamped approved by the city?
I believe so, sir, because Mr. Ackles, the city will not let you construct anything without their approval, they're not going to come over there. Like the city inspector is not going to walk in the house, Mr. Ackles, and see that there is a garage where it was supposed to be a master bedroom. He's not going to see the plumbing for a toilet and a shower and a bathtub in a garage and let you go on without making sure that these are the real plans that we were working with. And as a matter of fact, there was all these plans were left at the location by protocol of the city, or the inspector will not walk in, Mr. Ackles. And if he doesn't see the permit, if he doesn't see your sign, and if he doesn't see the plans, if you request an inspection, he will not walk in without those. If they're not present, he will issue a red tag and he will leave. And then you would have to call it in the next day or the day after and provide him with the plans, which the plans were never an issue, actually. The real issue is, my apologies, go ahead.
I object, Your Honor. The answer is non-responsive to the question asked.
Sorry.
I asked that the court admonish the witness just to answer the question. It might make our time
Yeah.
with him shorter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's true. Go ahead and just answer the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you tell us previously in your deposition that the Plaintiff's Exhibit 117, page 1, are the final plans to this building site?
I probably could have said that, yes, because they were part of the final plans. Yes, sir.
No, now you're saying they're part of them, but I'm asking you, did you tell us in your deposition under oath, ordered by the court, that this Plaintiff's Exhibit or Defendant's Exhibit 117, page 1, is the final building plan for this property?
I don't know how to answer this question.
Well, Rob, can you bring up his deposition at page 10, please? And if you'll zoom in on line 7. Oh, the question was, okay, so all the plans that you submitted to the city that were either approved or not approved are all in that box And your answer was no, these are not only the approved plans, not approved or not approved. These are only the approved plans that used to stay at the location at the Maple Springs at all times during construction. Question, so everything contained in the box you retrieved are approved plans from the city. Is that right? Yes, sir, the whole set.
That's what I'm saying.
These
Yes,
are the only set, it's your testimony, this is the only set of approved plans that you have from the city. Is that right?
In my possession, yes, sir. At the time I dropped them off at Julie's office. Yes, sir.
Rob, would you put up page 15, please? Of his deposition, page 15, line 3. I asked you, are these the final plans from the city? And your answer was what?
Yes, sir. And I'm still saying that.
Well, I thought you said
But
it
they were-
changed.
It doesn't mean that they don't modify, but those were definitely approved by the city, Mr. Ackles. And then they were modified to switch the garages.
Well, I just want to be clear. We know that this page 1 of Defense Exhibit 117 was approved by the city. We know that. The question is
You're
different.
asking me if the ones that
Excuse me, I haven't asked the question yet. The question
No.
is different.
My
The
apologies.
question is there another set of plans after this set of plans that was approved by the city
Yes, there was a modification plans, Mr. Ackles.
and you don't have them?
I don't have them in my possession now. If I did, I would have given them to Julie if they were in the same tube. if
So when
may.
you told us in your deposition that these were the final plans approved by the city, you were wrong?
There were final plans approved in the city by the time before the modification. Yes, sir. I'm trying to be,
Look at, Rob, would you please bring up his deposition at page 26, line 19 through 21, please? So to the question, okay, so you believe these are the final building plans approved by the city of Dallas. What was your answer?
yes, sir.
So today you're telling us that there's another set of modification plans that were approved by the city. Is that what you're saying?
From my experience, Mr. Ackles, that you can modify plans all through the project. It's not like, it's nothing set in stone with the city, as you understand. I don't know if you're very familiar with the way the construction works, but we're building a house, for example, and the lady comes in.
I
says,
object, Your Honor. This answer is non-responsive.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but Mr. Oshami, just,
Yes,
your
my
attorney will have an opportunity to ask you questions.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes,
Answer
sir.
the question.
Yes, sir. My apologies.
Today you're telling us, contrary to what you said in your deposition, that these are not the final approved plans by the city. Is that right?
They are a final plan approved by the city.
But the house wasn't built according to this plan. What was it?
Was not because it was modified.
Okay. Now you are the custodian of record. Where are the invoices, bids, invoices or bids from your contractors that built this home?
This home was built for like a family member, and this is the only thing we did is not keep good records. We don't have accountants or secretaries and all that, but I don't have anything in my possession, Mr. Ackles, at this time.
I didn't ask you whether you had anything. I asked you, where are they?
I don't know. I don't have any.
Did you throw them away?
Possibly.
Don't your subcontractors bid? Didn't your subcontractors bid this job before you hired them to do the work?
Most of the stuff would be done over iPhone calls. And, hey, I'll charge this much for this much for that. As I told you, it was done for like a son or a family member at the time. We didn't. We were trying to fit a $700,000-800,000 house in a $500 box, $500,000 box, and then we were doing all we can. But anyway, does that answer your question?
No, but I'm curious about what you just meant by we were trying to fit a $700,000 or $800,000 house into a $500,000 box. Are you saying that you were going to build a $700,000 to $800,000 house for $500,000 by not taking profits?
That's not what I said, sir.
What did you mean when you said we were going to fit a $700,000 to $800,000 house into a $500,000 box?
It means we were trying to get the subs to give us the best deals they can, so we can give Jordan and Erin a very nice house for their approved $507,000 money.
Okay, so your intent was to build a $700,000
We
to
were
$800,000.
negotiating on their.
Let me
on-
finish my question, please.
Sorry, go ahead.
Your intent at the time you signed the contract, at the time Versailles signed the contract with the Zitouns, was to build a $700,000 to $800,000 home for $500,000. Is that correct?
At the time, if I remember, Mr. Ackles, at the time the contract was signed, that house was, the estimate was for a 3,777 square foot home,
Did you hear my question, sir?
which ended up, yes, I did.
Was that your intent at the time you Versailles signed the contract?
My intent was to build them a very nice house because they were friends and family, and do them a good favor and build them a nice, beautiful house.
And to do that for a total of $507,000, correct?
They agreed to pay if any extras, if anything goes over that, they would pay out of pocket.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but your intent is what I'm trying to find out. You said we were trying to build them a $700,000 to $800,000 home in a $500,000 box. Was it your intent at the time Versailles signed the contract to do just that?
We were trying our best to negotiate the best deals for them, Mr. Ackles.
Okay, in the negotiation for the best deals, where is the documentation supporting the negotiation with your subcontractors?
All the stuff that I found, I don't have any.
All we've been given, and we were given it in December of 2020, are the checks that are itemized in Defendant's Exhibit 92. Rob, would you put Defendant's Exhibit 92 up, please? In terms of documents that support your claims that you spent money on this project, these are the only supportive documents we were given. Do you know of any others besides these checks?
If I had them, I would have given them to you.
Do you have any credit card? Do you pay your subcontractors on this project by credit card?
Sometimes.
Did you look at your credit card receipts to show payments to your subcontractors on this project?
Well, when you pay sometimes with credit cards, Mr. Ackles, you don't, the credit card doesn't, you just call them up and you give them a credit card number. We did our best to produce what,
There are no credit card receipts or statements produced. So the question is, did you look for credit card statements that supported your claims that you spent money on this project?
I looked for a lot of credit cards, but I couldn't decide which one went. I could not identify specifically which one went to where.
So you actually affirmatively looked at your credit cards, couldn't determine whether any of them were payments for this project, and so you didn't produce any of them. Is that your testimony?
The credit cards don't have addresses and all that stuff.
So that's why you didn't produce them?
Yes, sir, because I didn't want to.
Okay. Did you, and all the text with your subcontractors where you were negotiating price, did you produce any of those texts that support your claims that you paid these people money?
I didn't think those were important between me and the subs.
So you deleted them?
I don't keep everything on my iPhone. Like if there's a text or a phone call with a subcontractor, why would I?
Well, sir, we all know that the text will stay there unless you physically and affirmatively delete them. Did you physically and affirmatively delete the text to your subcontractors on this project?
No, I did not.
Who deleted them?
Why?
Objection.
I didn't say I deleted them or I didn't delete them. Nobody mentioned something like that.
Did you look through your phone in presenting documents in this lawsuit, did you look through your phone to see if you had any text to subcontractors negotiating or affirming the price that they would do the work on this project?
Mr. Eccles, at the time, I think we were doing 3 or 4 projects. So at any time, you know, like, okay, I'm going to charge you $3,000 to install this shower. I didn't delete or throw anything away purposely, or I don't know what you're getting at, Mr. Eccles, but
Well, what I'm getting at is if you didn't delete anything and you didn't throw it away, it would still be on your phone, wouldn't it?
probably if it's not deleted, or if the I don't understand what you're really getting at or asking.
I'm trying to find out if you looked through your phone text messages to
I did
see if
not.
you had
I
any
did-
text messages to these subcontractors on this project.
I
Did
did
you
not
do that?
I did not actually, no.
Okay. Your son, you have been witnessing all the testimony in this case up till now, correct? You've been on this Zoom call.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you heard your son testify that you keep what he characterized as running notes on your phone.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
keep running notes on your phone?
I do sometimes. Yes, sir.
How do you do that?
You go to your notes on your iPhone and you type some stuff to remind yourself. You know, I'm not a 20-year-old that remembers everything. I leave myself notes, and sometimes, and you know, I keep running notes.
And what application are you using when you keep those running notes?
What do you mean, what application?
Well,
notes sometimes.
On my iPhone, it has a little yellow tab there on the
Yes, sir. I do that, and
that
sometimes
says notes on it.
Yes, and sometimes I send myself an email to remind myself. Sometimes I write a little note and put it on my kitchen table. Or, you know, it's just like I said, I don't have a secretary that runs with me every day.
Okay, I don't think anybody does, but I'm trying to find out how you keep your notes. Do you punch that little yellow and white
Yes,
app?
sir.
Mr.
Okay.
Alshami, you need to let him finish and then you can answer, okay?
Oh, apologies.
It's not- Don't interrupt it.
Do
Court
you
reporter
put,
needs to be able, wait, don't interrupt me either. The court reporter needs to be able to take notes about everything that's being said. And if you speak over Mr. Ackles, then we're not going to have a clear record. So, and you may not know what his question is. So let him finish his question, then you can answer.
My apologies.
It's okay.
did you use that notes application on your phone to record notes related to the Zitoun project?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you use it throughout the time Versailles was building that home?
Yes, sir. On and off. Absolutely.
Did you use emails to yourself, relaying notes to yourself about the Zitoun project?
I probably do, but I'm not very sure of that. I don't remember.
But you did testify that you do that from time to time, write
Yes.
yourself notes and email them to yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you could have done that on the Zitoun project, right?
I probably could have.
Okay. And also, do you write handwritten notes related to the Zitoun project at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's take them one at a time. Where are the notes you entered onto the application with regard to the Zitoun project?
Where are they right now?
Yes.
I don't know if they're still on my iPhone or they were deleted, because when I finished with the project, I never thought this will come here, you know.
Mr. Alchami, you sued the Zitouns in October of 2018. How did you never think this would come here?
Well, at the time, we started this project in late 16, and it went through 18, and we left the project around May, and Mr. Zitoun and I were friends through May, June, July, August, September, October, texting and being friendly, and until he cut us off, changed his number, cut all communications, and we couldn't get a hold of him. My son couldn't get a hold of him, and he completely cut us out.
Is that when you deleted your notes?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
I don't remember.
Did you delete your notes?
I don't, I can look at my notes right now if you want me to.
Please do.
Your Honor, I do have to object. I don't think this is a discovery hearing, and it seems like that's what we're doing. If we had
I thought we already got the notes. Isn't that?
we have, it's Exhibit 51. I mean, if we're
Yeah.
going to do forensic inspections of each other's phones, I'm all for it. Let's go. But I think it needs to be mutual if we're going to start doing forensic examinations under oath, wasting Your Honor's time.
That was an,
I do feel like this is a discovery issue that, you know, it is what it is at this point. So let's move along.
Your Honor, Exhibit 51 is dated March of 2018. And it's a rendition of something. We don't know yet if that's a copy of his notes. There's been some speculation by Dylan.
If Mr. Oshami, is Exhibit 51 a copy of your notes that you kept in this case?
I believe, yes, sir.
Okay.
Are there,
Let's if you're going to continue to do a discovery deposition here, which is what you seem to be doing, then I'm just going to terminate this examination. You need to get to the meat of what this case is about, not past discovery disputes you may have had with these folks. And so let's get to the meat of this case.
okay, Your Honor, let's bring up a Defendant's Exhibit 117, please, Rob. Was Versailles the builder on this project?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Exhibit 117 has these notes from the city on the side to the left. Do you see them?
I see notes, but these might not be notes from the city. There might be notes from the engineering firm that made these set of drainage plans.
Let me ask you a different question. Are these notes or the general notes that were approved by the city, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can we go to Exhibit 117A so we can take those notes one at a time, please, Rob? General note number 1 says all construction shall be done in strict conformance of these plans and all applicable municipal codes and standards. Was the Zitoun home built in strict conformance with the plan set out on Defendant's Exhibit 117?
Yes, sir.
So the Defendant's Exhibit 117 shows the garage in a different place and the bedroom in a different place. You're saying it was still built in strict conformance with that?
Well, it was modified after this plan.
I'm asking you if the construction was done in strict conformance of these plans, Exhibit 117.
Mr. Ackles, these plans were modified, but it was done in strict performance of all applicable municipal codes and standards. Excuse me if I'm a little slow, I'm on pain medication, so I just had a surgery, but that's not an excuse though, by any means.
Look at item number 2 says all site paving to be, by the way, do you recall in your deposition that you said that the garage was not built in conformity with this plan?
Yes, sir, it was not.
Excuse me? Yes,
It was not built. It was not built with this particular plan. It was
Okay,
built based on the modified plans before construction was started.
Do you recall in your deposition that you told me you don't have to build in strict conformity with this plan?
If I said that, it didn't mean per se. It's just there's always modification happening throughout the construction process, Mr. Ackles.
Rob, would you pull up his deposition, page 28, line 17 through 20, please? To the question, when you build a house, don't you have to build it in strict conformance with the plans approved by the city? And what was your answer?
My answer was not necessarily.
Okay, and then go back to Exhibit 117A. And let's look at item number 2. Where is the paving plan? the approved paving plan.
May I elaborate on the previous question for 1 second, please?
Well, your lawyer can have you do that. Do you have an approved was there ever an approved paving plan?
The approved paving plan, Mr. Eccles, comes at the end of the project when you have to come into the property through the sidewalk, that the city has to approve that paving plan for you before. So that this paving plan comes at the end.
Did you complete this project?
The Zitouns did.
Did you complete the project?
I did not complete it per se. It was completed the sewer was not put in and permanent power was not put in, and they moved in before we had the chance to complete 100%.
So it's your testimony that Versailles did not complete this project 100%. Is that correct?
Was not 100, but was 100% complete as far as cosmetics and doors and windows and toilets and everything, but it was underground sewer was not 100%. And they had temporary sewer, temporary water, and temporary electric at the time, sir.
Did you represent the Prosperity Bank that the project was complete?
Complete based on their $507,000 draw and money.
What does that mean?
Means on stuff they would give money for was complete. The permanent power and the permanent sewer was not part of their advance, was not part of, for example, they don't pay for the your water bills or your electrical bills or what have you, and you have to get finals from the city for the sewer before you move in, which in that case, the Zitouns moved in before we were able to get that finished.
So you told Prosperity Bank.
And it was done from friendly. We never argued about that. They moved in and he said, I'll take it from here. He's a very experienced real estate man. And I was available for him through October to help him with talks. And he would send me texts, can I help you? What can I do for you? We love you.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Yeah, you're really being non-responsive to this. Let's move along.
Would you bring up, Rob, Exhibit 70, Plaintiff's Exhibit 76 at page 927? Zoom in on the top email, please. Now, prior to getting the final draw of $40,000 from Prosperity Bank, did you write Paramel Patel this email on May 15th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
And you say to Paramel Patel, zoom in on what he says, that the house is complete other than a couple of tiles that got scratched or broke, which are, I guess that means being done tomorrow. Is that what you represented to Paramel Patel at Prosperity Bank in order to get paid the last $40,000 draw?
Yes, sir.
So are you saying today that the house was complete except for a couple of scratched tiles on May 15, 2018, or that it was not complete?
It was complete as far as Prosperity draws and money coming from Prosperity towards this project.
But it was not complete in what way?
There was no landscaping. There was no proper drainage coming from the gutters, taking the water away. There was there was no sewer, to tell you the truth. It was not connected to the city sewer. They didn't have permanent power. Those things, the Prosperity will not pay for. It was complete based on what Prosperity was advancing, Mr.
So you knew all that when you wrote this email to Paramel Patel, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so you concealed from the bank that the sewer wasn't connected, that the drainage wasn't in, that the grading wasn't done. You concealed all that from the bank to get the last draw. Is that correct?
Mr. Eccles, not one penny did we get from the bank that was not signed by Mr. and Mrs. Zitoun both. I wasn't concealing anything. It was a known fact that you know, there was no landscaping in the budget. There was, to landscape this lot properly, it will take, it's an eighth of an acre lot, Mr. Ackles, to landscape it properly would probably take $150,000.
Mr.
There was $2,000 maybe in the budget. So, yes, sir, go ahead.
Mr. Patel told you, and if you'll scroll down, Rob, please, that they weren't going to pay you unless they got a CO. Is that right?
CO is, he didn't say that per se, but the CO is not a condition of getting a final draw from the bank. The bank does not deal with the city, Mr. Ackles.
I didn't ask you that really, sir. I asked you, didn't Mr. Patel tell you that he wasn't going to pay you the final draw until he got a CO?
If you allow me a minute to read this, if you don't mind. I said the CO is in the works, which was true. I said I might agree to withhold 10%, but the decision from the Zitouns were, no, we want to pay you all in full. We want to just take the temporary financing out so we can move on to a permanent finance stage.
Sir, my question was, didn't Mr. Patel tell you that he wasn't going to give you the final draw unless he saw a CO?
Obviously he did, Mr. Ackles, and I think to his testimony last night.
And that was the reason on May 15th, Rob, up to the top again, please, that you represented to Mr. Patel at the bank that the house is complete.
As far as draw requests and as far as the technicalities they go by.
You don't say any of that in this email, do you?
There was no reason for me to say it.
Okay. And also you copied Jordan Zitoun on this email, is that right?
Yes, most of everything was.
Okay. And so you told Jordan Zitoun on May 15th, 2018, that the house was complete, correct?
Complete person. I don't know if I said that, but to him, I mean, he was with me daily on the phone 3, 4, 5 times, every step of the way.
Well, you certainly told him that through this email since you copied him on this email,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
And
So
I wasn't a
when
lie. The
the-
house was complete per se, except underground utilities and permanent power.
The Zitouns say they moved into this house on May 29th, Aaron's birthday. Do you dispute that?
I'm not disputing that, no, sir.
Okay. So if they relied on your words here that the house is complete, they would have moved in thinking they had a complete home. Would you agree?
Mr. Ackles, the Zitouns are very experienced real estate people as well. When we were talking about the complete as far as the bank, that was complete as far as advances from the bank. The Zitouns knew exactly what was going on every minute of every day.
Rob, would you bring up Plaintiff's Exhibit 76, please? Excuse me, Plaintiff's Exhibit 77, please. And I'm going to go to, let me look at that. 1048, please. I think that's the right page. At first, I want to go to 1023, Rob, please. 1023. Okay, this is from, I'm representing to you that Plaintiff's Exhibit 76 are documents we received from the Prosperity Bank file. And this shows that there was an appraisal of the property at Maple Springs as of, can you zoom in on that as of date? I think it says March 10th, 2016, but I'm not, March 10th. I believe that's March 10th, 2016. And if you'll go, Rob, to page 1048. This is the home and the appraisal that they were appraising. Isn't it a fact that this is the home that you told the Zitouns that you were going to build for them?
I didn't tell them that these were plans sent back and forth as concept. And if you see, this is a 2-story home. If you see the little box on the right hand side, Mr. Ackles, That is,
Yes, yes, it's a two-story home. Isn't
bedrooms
this the home that you told the Zitouns that you were going to build for them?
do you think the Zitouns will let me build the house they live in right now? I don't know if they're living there, as a matter of fact. When I showed them this modifications, and actually this was not approved by the city. And the bank knows that. Everybody knew that.
Objection, non-responsive.
I don't know what else I can tell you, Mr. Ackles.
I'm going to overrule that objection. I think he's answered the question. Let's move on.
Okay. Let's look at page, the home let's look at page 10. I'll look at 1023, 1048. Let's look at page 1052, please. This is a second appraisal in the bank's file dated May 17th, 2017. And the property on this one lost 200,000 in value because you weren't building the two-story home. Did you know that?
Excuse me?
This property is now a one-story home that you're going to build according to the plans on page 1067. Look
This
at the
is the
plan.
house that was built right there, Mr. Eccles.
That's right. So now they're valuing the house actually built versus the house that was proposed. Do you understand that?
Of course, I understand that, but I mean,
Okay.
that's an opinion. I think it's more expensive than the one built for only, there's 1,000 square foot more than the original plan. Now, how could they, that's somebody's opinion, but I'll go with you.
If you'll look at page 1025, the first appraisal valued the promised home at, it's on the bottom section, at right there, value at $1.2 million. It's on the very bottom, $1.12 million. Do you see that? That was the valuation of the two-story home proposed.
I see this, but I haven't reviewed these. I don't know if they were talking about land value or.
Okay, go
the house,
back.
But I've never seen those, but I'm not disputing. If it's there, it's there.
Go back to page 1054, please, Rob. And the value of the one-story home that was actually built is $910,000 in the same place.
I'm not disputing that. What's the?
So
what are you getting at, Mr. Atkins?
let's look at the next page, Rob. I'm sorry, 1067. I'm sorry, it was the next page in my binder. 1067. Now this valuation has this drawing on it.
I'm not disputing that either.
Okay, if you will zoom in on the driveway, Rob, please. That driveway has the circular drive, but it has it connected to the garage. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Who
As a
drew this?
concept, absolutely.
Who drew this?
I believe Russell drew it as a concept.
So there was going to be a driveway from Maple Springs that went all the way directly into the garage, correct? According to your plans.
What are you getting at, Mr. Eccles?
I'm getting at, you connected the driveway to the garage according to this plan. Is that right?
I did not supervise the pouring of the concrete driveway that went into the garage, and the part of the circle driveway to the left of the page, if you may, was canceled by Erin Zitoun because she did not, eventually she wanted to put a fence around the house and she only wanted to deal with one gated entry, which none of that was in the.
I'm simply
I don't know
asking,
what you want me to say.
I'm simply asking you, didn't you have the plan to connect the circular drive to the garage as reflected in this exhibit?
At one time, this was a plan that was later, as I explained to you earlier, a lot of things go in, a lot of clients change their mind. They want a square top, they get a round top. They want an oval window, they get a round window. They want a circular driveway, they decide they don't want it. They want a straight shot.
I'm simply asking, was this the garage, the driveway plan that you were going to implement if you did complete the house?
I don't remember how it went at the time. This is back in probably 2016, Mr.
Now,
Eccles.
you have testified that the straight line driveway, which would be the driveway from the right side of the U directly into the garage, is what's causing the flooding. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that this driveway reflected in this exhibit would make that matter worse or better?
If it was designed right, it would, I mean, it has to have the right contours on it and designed a way where it could take the water away from the house.
Where is your design of the driveway?
I don't have a design for the driveway.
Did you ever have a design for the
Jordan
driveway?
met with the gentleman with the, Jordan met with a gentleman called Mr. George Ramos.
Did you ever have a design for the driveway?
All I have is what you see right now. It was not per se designed. It was
Okay, so you did not have a design for the driveway ever, correct?
It was left. I mean, I don't know what you're getting at, Mr. Eccles, but it was left up to the end. You know, I think the major construction ends, and then you have choices how you want your driveway, how you want your walkway. You know, there was at one time conversation that we do an entry from the Denton Drive side, because this is a corner lot.
Would you put up Defense Exhibit 117, please, page 1, and zoom in on the middle of it, please, Rob?
Mr. Eccles, you
Yes.
have 4 hours remaining.
Thank you, Morgan. Zoom in on the home, yes. On this drawing, sir, how were they supposed to get their car into this garage?
If, and I say if we decided to keep this one, this is what I just mentioned a minute ago, Joe, is there was once a conversation that there's a possible driveway would come from the west side, which is Denton Drive, to cut through straight into the garages if we'd have kept them, even though if we didn't keep them. If you see up on the top left corner, there's 12 foot. Do you see that?
My question was, how are they supposed to get their car into this garage based on this drawing?
You could build a driveway from the 12-foot easement on that side, because you can lay the driveway all the way up to the lot line. You can, a lot of driveways are 6 to 8 feet, Mr. Eccles. So,
But did you put a driveway in this?
Mr. Eccles, let him finish.
Okay, Your Honor.
At the smallest area right there, Mr. Eccles, there's 12 feet. You can easily fit a driveway in 12 feet, 8 feet, 6 feet if you want. 8 foot, you can take it straight through and turn into your garage. And then you can back out of your garage and go south and then go back out. If that would have been the paving plans at the end, which changed, Mr. Eccles. And at one point we said, okay, let's take this idea off. We're not going to access from Maple Spring, but from Denton Drive, my apologies. And we decided that collectively, I remind you, every step of every minute of every day, Jordan and Dylan, or Jordan and I and Aaron will meet. Every step of every moment, Mr. Joe Eccles, we decided to move the master bedroom based on my suggestion is, hey guys, I think if you put the master bedroom in the back facing the creek, which at the time they bought the lot, they didn't know that there was 3 lots behind them. They thought the creek is all theirs, by the way, but that's a different story. Well, I decided it would be nicer and quieter for them to have the master bedroom in the back. And we take the garages, put them in the front and save them a little bit of money. You'll have a straight shot to the garages. And the master bedroom will be tucked in the back nicely and quietly. And in the future, maybe they make money and build a pool back there in that area, and they can access it from the master
All right,
bedroom.
Mr. Oshami, you're getting really non-responsive at this
My
point. So
apologies.
let's
I don't know what to do, Your Honor. I'm nervous. I'm worried. I don't know what he's getting at. I have to explain myself. I didn't do anything illegal here. I did what?
Mr. Oshami, you just have to answer the questions. This is not responsive what you're saying now. So just listen to his questions, answer the questions.
My apologies again, Your Honor. I am deeply, deeply sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Mr. Eccles, ask the next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to focus on what you said. You could put a driveway 8 to 12 feet. Where are you talking about putting that driveway to get cars into this garage?
Do you see there's a 12, there's a number that says 12, I think it's in blue. My eyesight is not 100%. Do you see? it says
Right
12?
here on the left side,
Yes,
written in
sir.
blue, zoom in,
Yes,
on,
sir.
yeah, right there.
You
Thank
can
Ron.
easily fit a driveway, a straight shot driveway, an 8-foot driveway, all the way through to the garages, and you pull into the garages. If this plan would, if this plan was to stay, or
Zoom
the
out.
other option,
I'm
Oh.
sorry. I thought you were done.
or
Are
the other
you-
option was to access through Denton Drive, which all these were modified, my friend.
Are you saying that you could have a driveway entrance from Maple Springs straight down this line, this property line in front of the whole side of the house, come into the driveway?
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer,
Yes, sir, I can.
but you didn't draw that in this plan, did you?
It wasn't required at the time, Mr. Eccles, because how big do you have a house with an alley? The alley in the city alley where dump trucks go in there, sometimes I'm not more than 8 feet.
I thought in your deposition, you told us that you were going to put a driveway from Denton Drive, which is over to the left, to the
That was
garage.
discussed, I said.
Let me
Mr.
finish my question, please. But that you couldn't do that because the city would not allow you to put a driveway or build across property lines. Do you remember saying that?
It would have had the Zitouns sign a piece of paper saying that they're going to keep the slot as is, and they will apply for a variance to have the driveway coming from Denton Drive, if so they wished.
Well, my
It
question
was 100%
was,
doable with the variance.
didn't you say that you were going to put a driveway from Denton Drive on the left to the garage, but the city told you you could not cross lot lines?
Yes, the city said you could not cross lot lines, but there are variances also, and it was discussed with Jordan and Aaron. Hey, if
So-
you want to go that route, we'll have to get a variance. It's not allowed right now because
Okay.
it's considered to be two different lots, Mr. Eccles.
Was the reason you had to change the drawings for this property and building because the city told you you could not build across lot lines?
Pardon me, would you kindly repeat that question, Mr. Eccles?
Was the reason you had to redraw the plans because the city told you you could not build across lot lines?
This plan, the house that was ultimately built is what the city approved. And prior designs, Mr. Eccles, there was a house designed that was wide and parallel to Maple Springs that crossed all these lot lines. And the city said, absolutely not until you replat. So it was modified over time. And then this is what the Zitouns wanted. And with my suggestion, I said, look, how about this? How about this? We started working and we worked for a long time to achieve this. And then it was finally, they loved it. And oh, we love it. Thank you. You're a star. Appreciate it. I can't believe you get it pulled off from the city. We appreciate you. We love you. Da, da, da. I mean, it was like family. I was honestly treat them, and I still would today. Treat them like family. I have no quarrel with them until they locked me out of their life for no reason because I asked them to give me my 14.5 and my promissory note. Completely, boom. Next thing I know, they countersued me. I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Eccles. I did everything I wanted to do wholeheartedly, with good intentions, with love and kindness, and I don't understand. And whatever.
Objection non-responsive.
Sustained. Mr. Oshami, you got to just answer the questions.
Mr. Elshami, I'm trying to find out why you had to redraw the plans. I want you to tell the judge, is the reason you had to redraw the plans because the city said you could not build a home or the driveway across lot lines?
Yes, sir.
Any lot lines?
The lot lines that I think this lot consisted of four little lots.
And you could not build across any of the lot lines. Is that what the city told you?
Absolutely. They said, we will allow you to build on this half. We will not allow you. We would, if you would go get it replatted. And I went with Mr. Zitoun to engineering company that he knew, I think. And the gentleman said, look, it's going to cost $7,500 and it's going to take 6 months to a year for the replatting. And based on what I heard yesterday with COVID, the gentleman, Mr. Hart, was saying, These circumstances these days would probably take more than a year. But anyway, that's a different story. The city completely said, absolutely not. You cannot build on these lots as it is.
And when did the city say that?
When we submitted the first set of plans, that was the 2-story house that we talked about. It was a concept. We went to the city with it. They leave it with them for 2-3 days. They get back and they say, no, we can't do that. Retry.
All right. So the original plans that were drafted were the 2-story house, which was reflected, what's the right word? Visually or conceptually, reflected conceptually in that home we saw the picture of, the 2-story mansion, right?
It wasn't conceptually, actually, Mr. Eccles. It was drawn. A full set of plans was provided for that.
To build that 2-story house that you had showed the Zitouns that you were going to build for them, you drew up a full set of plans on that home, right?
Not for that exact home, to the concept of the house. And
Okay.
it was, I think, 3,700 square feet, and it was denied by the city.
Okay. Do you have
It was
any
the
document?
like
Do you have any written document showing that the city denied that plan?
the city. I don't know if you know how it works, Mr. Eccles. You go in there with a set of plans, and you give them the address, you give them the site plan, you give them the survey and all that. They back then in those days, it wasn't as busy as today, I guess. Then you would wait in line, or we'd send the gentleman that used to work at the city. He would take the plans and he wait in line. He goes in there, he talks to somebody at the office. They pull up everything on their computers and the zoning records and the planning records and all that. And we assumed it was going to work, but then the city they said, you cannot cross lot lines. And it's a known law in the state of Texas. You cannot, and actually in the United States, you can't cross lot lines even if you own the same property, unless you get it replatted, because these lots were a long time ago in the 50s or 30s. There were little houses you could get in that area. And then they had lot lines in the records of the city of Dallas still. And then the Zitoun, when they bought it, they knew it consisted of several lots. But I didn't think they had a platting problem. And I think it belonged before they bought it. It belonged to some company that attempted to build some apartments on it, and they were professionals. They had all the engineering and the money and the experience, and they wanted to build apartments, and they messed with this and tackled with this lot for years, I come to find out. Then they said, we give up, we want to sell it. And that's when Mr. Zitoun bought it.
Objection, non-responsive.
Okay.
Yeah, you are kind of being non-responsive still, but let's keep
I
moving.
told him just, we can't, in summary, you can't cross lot lines. No, sir.
You said it was a known law that you can't cross lot lines. Did you know that law before you submitted the plans to do just that?
Of course, I know you can't cross lot lines.
Then why would you have submitted plans to the city of Dallas that crossed lot lines?
Because I didn't know I didn't know that this lot was not platted as one at the time he bought it. That's why we went to the engineering company to try to replat it.
Okay, well, where are those first drawings? We've never seen them.
I think Russ Baskin, I sent them. Julie has them. You have them. I'm sure His Honor has seen them.
The drawings of a 2-story house?
Yes, there was three different sets of plans and 3 different designs submitted. And
Do you have any evidence that you submitted a 2-story house drawing to the city of Dallas?
I have evidence that I sent a gentleman called Mike Aguirre that used to work at the city, that went on his own, and he would take all the plans, and he still takes the plans, get them submitted for us and get them approved. And
Guys, let's go ahead and take our morning break. We'll take our morning break.
thank you, Your Honor. My apologies if sometimes I got carried away. My apologies.
It's okay. All right, we'll see you guys after the break. It'll be about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I apologize, guys. We had a COVID issue here. I don't know if we're going to be able to continue trial, but we're going to try. So, are you guys ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed.
Mr. El-Chami, you said that the Zitouns took over the construction of their home when they moved in. Is that correct? Mr. El-Chami, your microphone is off.
My apologies, my apologies. To answer your question, Jordan and I, he said, I'll just take it from here. I'll finish it up as money comes in, and we'll finish up. We eventually want to put some landscaping and da, 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 da.
My question was that when they moved in? That is when they took over?
Around that time, they were actually involved in every decision prior to every day. I mean, they were assisting with every single thing. They were always in control.
Do you remember testifying in your deposition that the Zitouns took over the control of building the home when they moved in?
They were full in control at the time, and they were in control every day since day one too.
My question was, do you remember testifying under oath in your deposition that the Zitouns took over control of the building of the home when they moved into the home?
I remember I said that, yes, sir.
Okay. But today you're saying they've always been in control of the building of the home. Is that right?
They were, since day one, they were involved. They were always in control, together with my supervision and with Dylan involved and Aaron and Jordan. And we were like family every step of the way. I mean, Jordan is
You're being non-responsive. Let's move along. You've already covered this. I already know this. So let's move along.
I want to finally be clear that you claimed that at the time the Zitouns moved into the home, the water was not turned on and the sewer was not connected. Is that what you've said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There was temporary water. To clarify, there were temporary water and temporary electric.
I would like to, Rob, would you put up defendant's exhibit? I think Judge, you had asked us yesterday to send you put the defense exhibits 51 on that we could total that itemization of his. So we did that. Put up defense exhibit 51, please, Rob, and then defense exhibit 51A after. This is that, Mr. Zitoun, this is what you claim to be the itemization of what? Money spent on the project by you?
You're asking me?
Yes. But can you blow that up, Rob, please?
These are, no, I know what you're talking about, Mr. Eccles.
Okay.
Yes, these are notes that we talked about them earlier. These are notes I kept on my iPhone notes.
And what is this?
Starting, these are mental notes, and I would go through them with Jordan weekly, or we will discuss all these things. These are notes that we've taken through the construction, Mr. Eccles.
Okay, and so, but you weren't keeping a tally of what Jordan owed you, or were you keeping a tally of what you claimed Jordan owed you?
I don't understand your question. What do you mean? I didn't.
I'm trying to figure out what this represents. What is this a tally of?
Oh, these are notes I would take on my phone, for example. So the stuff that, staking was not in the budget, trip to zoning and all that. I pay people to go do that. Just miscellaneous stuff that would occur and while we were building, that most of these were not in the budget. And Mr. Zitoun and I would meet, we'd go through them weekly. We kept them running. And
were some of these in the budget?
Some of them were in the budget. Yes, some big items were in the budget.
So some of these were paid by the bank?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and some of them you claim were not paid by the bank?
Some of them, no, we kept, Jordan and I kept a tally, and, a friendly tally, say, hey, we're over budget, and we just put numbers there, and, and I think towards the end, we met and we decided, okay, this is what they still gonna owe me.
Oh, and what is this, is what they still owe you? Where, is that reflected on Exhibit 51?
Would you kindly scroll down, I think?
Rob, would you please scroll down? We'll start at the top. Okay. Tell us when to slow down or speed up, please.
Please, keep going. Keep going, please. Keep going, please. Is that it?
That's not it.
I don't think so. Rob, can you keep scrolling?
There's a next page.
Keep going, please. Oh, stop, please, Mr. Rob. Zitoun owes us around $60,805.
That's your writing?
That's my typing. And Jordan and I were sitting in the car and we looked at it, and that I don't remember the exact date, but it was probably around right before Christmas of, I don't remember exactly, to tell you the truth, but maybe late 2017.
So you're
And
saying,
we agreed that he's still gonna owe us on the side $60,000.
so you're saying, are you saying
To the best
that
of
at
my
this,
memory,
let me finish my question, please. Are you saying that at this point in your itemization, given everything above that line that says Zitoun's owe us about $60,805, that with regard to everything above that, they still owe you $60,805?
yes, after we tallied some stuff and, we sat in the car and we had a piece of paper, we tallied some stuff that's gonna be coming from the bank and what have you. And we decided at that point, okay, he's gonna owe us $60,000. And this was
Okay.
sent to Mr. Zitoun, by the way, and his wife. I sent it to him and I think he shared it with his wife, and nothing was ever.
Okay, so the bottom, below the words Zitoun's owe us around $60,805, and then you say draw from Patel, what does that mean?
I think we got, that was way after, these notes, Mr. Ackles, ran for maybe 2-3 years.
My question is, what does draw from Patel mean?
We draw from Patel, it means we had a draw from the bank.
At that point, right below?
No,
That-
that's probably later. I don't remember exactly.
Do you credit any of the monies paid on this itemization?
I haven't added exactly the number, if you add the top number above the 60, but there was there probably a lot more than 60 that was deducted, of course, from the draw.
Okay, so do the Zitoun's owe you 60 or not? Once
At
you
the
got-
time, yes.
Okay, so then but then you got paid. So did you reduce the 60 once you got paid by the draw?
Mr. Ackles, I answered you. At that point, at that time, they agreed that, okay, we will owe you $60,000. And I think if you add these items, they come to a lot more than $60,000. So
Well, let's keep going on this list.
yes,
Below the words draw from Patel, what about these numbers? What do they represent?
these kept running after the end of 2017, I believe, kept running like, because can you scroll down, Mr. Rob, a little bit?
I think it's the next page. Yeah.
I'm just trying to refresh my memory as far as dates. See here, Mr. Ackles, for example, it says more,
Yes.
5/17/118. So that's stuff that I've kept after we decided that they still owe us the 60 grand. Just stuff, mental notes and stuff that I was writing to myself, and I never even thought. Anyway,
Are you saying that the Zitoun's owe you for everything listed on Defense Exhibit 51 after the $60,000 total?
I don't know, what is that? What does that total, Mr. Ackles? What's the whole total?
Well, I'm simply asking you, Rob, can you scroll up to the $60,000 total, please? once you put in, Zitoun's owe me 60,000 for everything above this line,
Yes, sir.
is everything below this line money they owe you, or is it just money you're putting into the project? You haven't separated them out.
It's not all of it that they owe me, probably.
Okay. Have you ever itemized this document or done any itemization that separates out what they owe you versus what you've already been paid?
Well, what would be being paid, Mr. Eccles, is every draw that they signed off from Prosperity Bank.
But the Zitouns also paid you some money.
The Zitouns paid me. I believe they gave Dylan a check. Yes, they paid a little bit of money as they weren't. But
Did you
at that
credit
time-
that? Did you
at that
credit
time-
that on this exhibit?
not on this exhibit, no, sir.
Have you
because-
done that at any time? Have you analyzed what you claim they owe you versus the credit that they have paid you?
Yes, well, it was analyzed weekly with Jordan. We
How
were
about,
always-
do you have it in writing?
This is in writing in front of you, and then the promissory note and the check at the end would reflect that, Mr. Eccles.
Okay.
After the 60, I think there was another 15 or something.
Your Honor, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna, Miss Pettit-Greason we both have provided an itemization of this document and a total, but I think Miss Pettit-Greason's is in Excel, so I'm gonna share that on the screen if you don't mind, Your Honor. So give me a second to find it. Okay. I believe that this is it. And I can't tell if let me get out of that. Okay. Can y'all see that, Judge? I'm not sure. Just
Yes,
make
sir,
sure.
I can.
You can see some of my family members from a photo from 1976, I guess. This shows that the total at the line that you enter, Zitoun's owe us around 60,000 is $168,098.45. Do you see that?
Correct.
So your view was that whatever time you wrote Zitoun's owe us around $60,805, that's only a portion of everything above it, right?
Yes, the other one was coming from the bank, or had already came from the bank.
So this is about $108,000 too high, right?
This,
Or 108,000 of the expenses above the line, they don't owe you for, right?
they owe me at that point. I don't know exactly the date, but above it, I see 11/1, November 1st. That must have been November 1st of 2017. At that point, we agreed that the balance they're gonna owe me will be $60,000.
Okay, here at the bottom, Ms. Pettit-Greason's total is $56,308 for these remaining numbers. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Eccles, I do.
For a total of $224,406.53.
Yeah, no, I remember. Listen, you see that 56,000, Mr. Eccles?
Yes.
I think we got $40,000 at the last draw from Prosperity Bank. That
Okay.
left about $16,000. If you add the 60 and the 16, doesn't that give you $76,000? Isn't that what we filed the lien for? Isn't that
It's
what?
close. Is that your testimony? That's what you did?
As far as I remember, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a 20-year-old man, but you remember, this list has been running since 2016 through 2018, early 2018. To the best of my recollection, Mr. Eccles, yes.
Okay, but this only provides an itemization of $224,406.53 spent on this project, right?
I didn't total it, and I don't see a reason why I would have totaled it.
Well, your lawyer did. Ms. Pettit-Greason totaled this. It
Yes,
says it's $224,406.53.
okay,
see
what does
that?
that mean?
You see that?
Yes, sir, of course I do.
You've been paid $507,000 from the bank, right?
Yes, of course. I'm not.
And you've been paid more money from the Zitouns directly, right?
When you say directly, what do you mean, Mr.
They
Eccles?
gave you their car.
Yes, that was accounted for.
And
Miss 60.
they wrote checks to you and Dylan.
Mr. Eccles, I did not steal the car. I did not go to the car. He wrote me the car to give him credit for stuff that was running.
I'm not disputing any of that. I'm simply saying he
He
made
gave it to me.
payments.
He begged me to take it because he wanted to sell it. He couldn't sell it. He said, go ahead.
I'm
I
simply
see the
saying,
224, Mr. Eccles. Yes, sir. I did not total it, but Miss Pettit Greason did, and that's totally fine.
I'm simply saying that this does not include any credits for the amount he has paid you, correct?
Yes, it did include all the credits that he's paid me.
Where are they?
What do you mean, where are you? We got paid $507,000 from the bank. These are notes, private notes that I kept between me and Jordan, and we would go over every week and every day, and through the whole construction, everything was known.
Do you have any documents that support any of these numbers?
You asked me that before, and I told you this is all I have. It was in my texts, and I either sent it to, I did send it to Mr. Zitoun himself, and he probably gave it to you, or I gave it to my attorney. I don't remember this, but this existed on my notebook, Mr. Eccles.
Okay, I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Eccles. Thank you, Your Honor. My apologies if I speak too much sometimes.
That's okay. Ms. Pettit Greason, do you have any questions?
I do, Your Honor. Give me just a moment. Maybe easiest if I start with that exact exhibit since we were just using it. And actually, I will ask, Your Honor, that we offer, Mr. Eccles, I don't know which one you want to label mine, if we want to label mine 51B, but I would ask that we offer exhibit 51B into evidence.
I think our totals came out a little different, but I didn't think it was material, so I thought it best to use her version. So you can make this 51A. I won't offer 51B, and we have no objection, Your Honor.
So what is this going to be? 51B?
51A, Your Honor.
51A, okay. And this is, you're going to make sure there's some exhibits we've been offering. Make sure that you're sending those all to Tony every night. I don't want us to lose track. So this is the spreadsheet. Let's itemize totals from 51.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Elshami, you were just asked some questions about this exhibit, which is now marked exhibit 51A. This exhibit doesn't include all of the amounts you incurred on the property, does it?
No, ma'am.
Were you editing this list over time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell the court what you were doing on your notes app in your phone with this list.
This was just a merely, Julie, it was notes that I would put in my phone just for memory reasons, and I would call Dylan and give him some stuff that he can put on a spreadsheet, and I would meet with Jordan. We'd go over some stuff, and we'd take stuff off, and we keep, it was just a running note that I had.
Mr. Ackles seems to indicate that $224,406.53 was the total amount that Versailles spent on the house. Tell us whether or not that's true.
Of course not. And he just said this, the number wasn't material. Of course not. It's a 4,800 square foot house, if I remember correctly. It's impossible.
Tell the court in this, it looks like it's cell 73A that says Zitoun's owe us around $60,000. Tell us generally how that number was calculated.
I sat with Jordan late 2017. And we talk every day, at least once or twice. And at the time, it was stressful. It was stressful for everybody. It was stressful for him and his wife. And I do respect that, and I love him. And I just, and I said, look, let's just round these things to a number. He says, well, I'm gonna give you the car and da 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 da. We have, I know we're over our heads here and da da da. And let's just up to this point figure out where we are. So we agreed at the $60,000.
And did you and Mr. Zitoun, when you agreed to the $60,000, did you take into account amounts above this number that were coming out of draws from the bank?
Yes, ma'am.
when you and Mr. Zitoun were calculating this amount, where, if anywhere, did you account for the car?
We were sitting in my car, and he said, "I'm trying to sell my car. I don't need it." And I made a mistake. I went into the Lexus store and paid retail and bought. Anyway, make a long story short, he said, so we out of the 60 grand, the car was figured in there mentally.
Okay, so you and Mr. Zitoun had figured in the value of the car when you calculated the 60,000.
Yes, ma'am.
The amount, when you all reached the, well, let's look at Exhibit 51 really fast. I want to make sure we're clear on our timing. When did you send this list and an email to Mr. Zitoun?
I sent it on March 2nd, 2018 at 10:30 in the morning.
And you all had already reached an agreement at that time?
Oh, yes.
Now, I want to talk about the part that's below this amount where you calculated the 60,000. So I'm going to switch back to the Excel spreadsheet. The amount below the 60,000, it totals up to how much?
$56,308.
How much was your last draw on the property that you were anticipating at the time you sent that email to Mr. Zitoun?
I believe it was around $40,000.
So at this time, there was a $40,000 draw remaining, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so how much of this last 56,000 was Mr. Zitoun going to owe you after that draw?
Around $16,000.
16,000, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you take the 60,000 from the first part of the list and the 16,000 left from the second part of the list, how much do the Zitouns owe you outside of the draws that were coming?
Roughly $76,000, ma'am.
Was that agreed to?
Absolutely.
And that included a credit for the amount of the car, is that correct?
That included everything up to the point they moved in completely.
Okay. I want to go backtrack for a moment. How long have you been building homes, Mr. Alshami?
Since I think started in the late 2000s, kind of like 2008.
How many homes have you built?
I would say maybe between remodel and build, probably 13, 14.
And how did you get into home building?
I like to draw, and I love architecture, and I love traveling and looking at ancient buildings and stuff like that. And then always, and then the internet is really a good teacher, and I would draw stuff and I would make it happen. And I built my own home, for example, and moved in. And I loved what I was doing. It's just like very creative, and I thought I found my niche. And later in the years, my son got mature enough, and he joined me to help out.
For demonstrative purposes only, Mr. Alshami, I want to show you a couple of photos and ask if you can tell us if these are homes that you have built.
Yes, ma'am.
You see some homes on the screen?
Yes, ma'am. I just built this. I built this one.
This is a house that you built?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's look at the next one. Is this a house that you built?
Yes, ma'am.
What about this one? Did you build this house as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Are
This
all
was
these
a complete remodel. It was a facelift, complete remodel. Yes, ma'am. The first two were ground up.
So this was a ground up, this was a ground up, this is a
I
remodel.
object to
this one-
these.
Actually, the first one was my
Yeah,
personal home.
excuse me.
Wait, there's an objection. What is your objection?
These are not evidence, and she's showing them as if they are, and she's claiming they're demonstrative, but it's trying to get evidence into the court.
Well, actually, may I respond, Your Honor?
You may.
It's demonstrative only, and actually the picture that's on the screen right now is an evidence because it's pasted in their petition, which they offered as an exhibit, and I didn't object to.
Then show that exhibit.
want to waste, I'm not going to respond. I'll let Your Honor make a ruling.
Is this picture in the petition or not?
Yes, Your Honor. Not this exact one. It's a picture of the same house, I believe.
With a car in front of it. It had a car in front of it. This is the Mr. Salah Izzeddin house that was in question.
Objections overruled. You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is this also a picture of a home that you've built?
This is the rear of the Mr. Izzeddin house being constructed now.
Is this a home that you've built?
This was a complete facelift for a doctor friend of mine here in town on Preston Hollow.
Were all of those homes that you built here in Dallas?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about what happened when you were building homes around 2008.
In early 2000s, I started buying property in Salina and McKinney, and I know a lot of developers, friends of mine. And we bought and sold properties in Salina. Salina wasn't still coming up, and we went up north and just trying to get into business. And I just loved real estate. And then we acquired a bunch of stuff. We acquired partnerships. We acquired friendships, developers. We bought some stuff and we sold it, and we did a gated community. We did subdivisions, of course, with help of people, more experienced people. And then in 2008 comes the crash. And 2008, as everybody knows, it was a hard one for everybody. So we held on from 2008 to about 2010, so roughly like that. And then we just, we lost everything. Everything. Almost. So by 2012, we were starting to rebuild 11. I think between 2010 and 2011 is when I met Mr. Jordan Zitoun. The first picture he showed me, the house with the fountain in front of it, I was living there. I had built that for my family. And Mr. Zitoun rang the gate on a Sunday afternoon. But anyway, that's how I met him. But to finish your answer, we lost everything, but we never, we gave up everything. We never filed bankruptcies. We never stiffed anybody. We just kept going on and we put our head up high and we restarted everything. Thank the good Lord, we're here today and we're rebuilding. And I'm not the Fortune 500 company that Mr. Ackles and Jonathan think we are. We're just getting by.
All right, thank you, Mr. Al-Shami. Have you won any awards for your building?
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the houses, yes, there were write-ups about the house, the first house. There was a lot of write-ups, and it was in magazines. And then the second house you showed me also sold it to a doctor, and then he sold it, I think, to a basketball player, and the basketball player, that's just hearsay. I think he got a contract with some other basketball team, and he put it on the market and leased it, and it was at the time the highest. It brought the highest rental in the Preston Hollow area, the new Preston Hollow area. It was written up, and then the third one you showed, that one, the HGTV France, for French architecture, and as close to French as you can get. And then the French HGTV reps, they came to Dallas and they did a little story on it, and they had a party at the house. At the time, we were still friends with the Zitouns. I mean, they know everything, you know. But just to tell a little something.
What is your connection to Versailles Dallas, Inc.?
Well, we started Versailles, just something I can teach my son so he can take over and all that. And, you know, I was getting older and you know, in age. I hope I can teach him something and he can take it over and what have you.
How long has Versailles been in business?
I think Versailles, I think in the 2012, something like that.
So it was after you had lost everything in 2011 that you were referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, how did you first learn that the Zitouns wanted Versailles to be the builder for your home?
We were very, very close. We were very, very close, actually. And you know, Jordan and Dylan were friends. And he, to me, like he was a son. He would always come by. And then in 2015, I believe, we were very, very close since the day we met. And he would, you know, anyway, but he told Dylan and I that he bought a lot on Maple Springs. I've never been there. That he would consider building a home or consider making it a real estate play.
Okay. And what did sorry, were you done with your answer?
My apologies, I'm finished.
What did Mr. Zitoun propose to you to do with this lot on Maple Springs?
He proposed that he was taking my opinion. It was a matter of opinions at the time. What should I do? I really want to build a house for my family. What do you think? And you know, the stuff of that nature. And then the idea came to build a house for himself.
Mr. El-Shami, is it possible to build a house the size that you built for Mr. and Mrs. Zitoun? Is it possible to build a house that size for $507,000?
It's possible.
Is it possible to build a house that size with the finish out that the Zitouns wanted?
No, ma'am.
What are the things on the finish out that made it over budget in order to complete this house for less or equal to $507,000?
Well, the original $507,000 was really based on a 3,700 square foot house to begin with, which is just that should not be a matter at this point. But the finishes they wanted, the marble, the glass showers, the raised ceilings, all these little things add up. Not to mention that the slab got a lot larger, and instead of using, for example, 2x4s in the framing, we used 2x6 and all that. It's just, you know, it's just a lot of things can go. You can build a house for $507,000. The same style house you can build it in Highland Park for $2 million.
Did they
It's just my opinion.
So it depends on the finish out, right?
Absolutely.
Did they want a $5,000 front door, for example?
Yes, they wanted the door at the time. I think it was, I don't know what's called, a Mendocino door. Wrought iron, you know, one of those big iron doors with glass and all that.
All right, let's look at Exhibit 29. Give me just a moment. All right, do you see Exhibit 29 in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who sent this email?
I sent it to Aaron and Jordan, and I copied my son.
And the date of the email is January 8th, 2017, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you sending them that day?
I was sending them, I said, Jordan and Aaron, good morning. Please review the plan. May I just read the highlighted stuff?
Yeah, were you sending them the plans?
Please review the plans. You want to read the whole thing, Julie?
No, just read the highlighted parts. I think that gets us what we're looking at, and I'll try and zoom in a little more. I know it's.
Please review the plan and advise. Please review and get back to me. If all okay, I'll finish the rest of the plans and elevation, plumbing, electrical, roof, etc. So we can go back to the city and apply for a modification.
What kind of door was that? Could you spell that? Because the court reporter didn't get it.
There's a company, for example, called Solara here in town, the design district. They make these doors. And there's different companies.
I just need to know the name of the. I just need to know the name of the door for the court.
That style was called Mendocino, I believe. It's just,
Mendocino.
I believe so, yes, ma'am. It's just the style they put on next to a name when they advertise their doors.
Okay, and in the last sentence, Mr. El-Shami, you say, please review and get back to me. If all okay, I'll finish the rest of the plans as far as elevation, plumbing, electrical, and roof, etc. So we can go back to the city and apply for a modification. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you attach to this email?
I attached the plans that has the garages moved towards the Maple Springs Drive.
Okay, so you attached the plans, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was their response to these plans?
They loved them. They're beautiful.
Did they approve them?
Absolutely. They loved them. They're beautiful. And I think if I dig deeper, I have an email from Jordan. Anyway,
And
they loved them.
what did you do after the Zitouns approved these plans?
We started normal procedures, clearing the lot, and bringing in fill dirt to raise it up from the back because the lot was leaning way towards the creek in the back. And so we moved a bunch of loads of dirt, maybe 50, something, maybe.
Did you go to the city at any point in time to get these approved?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And were they approved?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us whether or not you ever performed any work on the property when there was not or did you do any construction on the property without a permit?
No, ma'am, never.
Tell us whether or not you did any work on the construction without approved plans by the city.
No, ma'am.
Let's look at exhibit 44. And I'm on page 3 of this exhibit. Do you see an email from Mr. Patel?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess it's to Mr. Patel. It's from you, excuse me. Do you see an email from you to Mr. Patel?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that sent?
It was sent November 19th, 2017.
November 16th, I think. If I zoom in, you'll be able to see it better.
Yes, ma'am. No, that's fine. Yes, ma'am.
And did you copy Mr. Zitoun on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your email says at the bottom, I also met with Jordan today and he agreed to fund the balance he owes to Versailles from the permanent loan he will acquire to take Prosperity out. Dylan and I agreed to that arrangement as we have a very good idea of what the completed property will appraise for.
Yes, ma'am. I see that.
Did Mr. Zitoun object to you saying that he had agreed to fund the balance owed to Versailles from the permanent loan?
Never.
Were there overages as of this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's fast forward to January of 2018. I want to look at exhibit 48. Who sent this email?
I did.
And who did you send it to?
To Mr. Patel at Prosperity Bank and copied my son, Jordan, my son and Jordan.
According to this email, how much of the financing was remaining?
Let me read it if you don't mind.
Sure, sure.
$40,000.
So at the time you sent
$41,106.
So at the time you sent this email, there was only 40,000 remaining. Is that right?
I believe so.
Was that enough money to complete everything that these Zitouns wanted completed for their house?
No, ma'am.
Did they know there was a shortfall?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make a recommendation about how they could allocate the remaining 40,000?
Yes, ma'am. Daily, we talked. Daily, I discussed it with Jordan.
And how did you what recommendation did you make to them on how to allocate the remaining 40,000?
Stuff like maybe adding some drainage, maybe the landscape, but maybe just put some grass so the dirt won't get washed away, and just do technical things that could help them get through and finish the project.
Did you tell them anything about grading and drainage?
Yes.
What did you tell them?
I told them that now that we're final, we need to bring in some, finish the drainage. We need to connect the gutters to some kind of an underground drainage system to keep the water away from the house. Recommended they figure out some landscaping package because shrubs and grass and stuff will keep the dirt together. Stuff of that nature.
So let me ask this real quick. Is there anything in any of the exhibits that, because this is a key issue and maybe I've missed it, anything in any of the emails or text messages that were produced that verifies that they said, hey, look, you still need to do this with the landscaping, or was this all just verbal?
It was mostly verbal, as close as we were, Your Honor. Jordan and I and Dylan.
Okay, I get that. It's mostly verbal. Ms. Pettigrew, so there's nothing in any of the emails or text messages or anything in writing that's going to be produced today or at any point?
Not that I'm aware of as far as written on the grading or drainage. And I take that back. There is a text after the fact that addresses drainage. Yeah, there's one text afterward that addresses.
Can you show that text so I can see it?
You want me to show it through the witness, or he's on it? But give me one moment. Okay,
Just show it on share screen.
sure. What I'm about to show Your Honor has been pre-admitted as Exhibit 103, and it is text messages between Mrs. Zitoun and my client in October of 2018.
What number, 103?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
And Mrs. Zitoun is on the left. Mr. El Shami is on the right.
I'm sorry,
Your Honor,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, Your Honor, I don't know how we know that Mr. El Chami is on, that Aaron Zitoun is on the left and the other party is on the right, because the exhibit doesn't say, at least I can't see on this exhibit, who the sender or the receiver is, and it's not.
Aaron Zitoun on the top.
It says Aaron Zitoun on the top.
Okay, now I see the page, Your Honor.
Go if you have any questions, Ms. Pettit, about this is a critical issue to me, but you can ask questions on that if you'd
Sure.
like.
Mr. El Shami, it's your understanding that the home flooded in October of 2018, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, but may I touch on something His Honor asked a minute ago? Is there any text? Was it about the money that he owes me or about? Your Honor, what were you asking me about?
I was asking, is there anything in writing that indicates that you told the Zitouns that if they did this plan the way they wanted to do it, according to y'all, that there would be problems with the drainage and problems with the flooding? I just want to see if there's anything in writing on that issue. And it sounds like Ms. Pettit was showing me this text message.
Yes, my apologies. I thought you were asking about the money they owed me. My apologies, Your Honor. Yes,
No.
ma'am.
Okay, Mr. El Shami, while we're on this exhibit, is this a true and correct text thread between you and Mrs. Zitoun?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does Mrs. Zitoun tell you on the left-hand side of this first page?
So much room to crawl, no stairs. She loves it. Thank you. We love you. Very grateful.
Is this after they had moved in?
I don't remember the date, but they probably, yeah, because there was a video of the sweet little baby crawling, so they were in already. Either are in or.
And when, I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you finished?
Within those few days.
Okay. And when she says no stairs, is she referring to the fact that it's a one-story home?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is this you on the right-hand side of this text thread?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and tell the court what you're saying here on the right side of the text thread.
This, I consider them family, and I say, wish I had millions of surplus. I really spend more money in it, but it was really a struggle at the end. I'm glad you all are happy. When she said grateful a minute ago, I said, I'm glad you all are. I wish you many years of happiness in your new home.
And what did she say in response?
She said, thank you. Please let us take you and Debbie to dinner soon. I said, soon, thank you. Hope your air is working and the baby is happy. And that was in July, ma'am.
And tell us what happened in October. Well, I'm going to strike that question. Let me ask you a different question. Just to be clear, who was in charge of the design of the driveway?
Jordan and George Ramos.
Okay.
I wasn't there when they poured it. I went there, it was after it was poured.
Okay, Mr. Toomey, just try to answer just my question if you can. We'll
Yes,
get there if we need to, but just try to answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you tell Mr. and Mrs. Zitoun that needed to be done with the driveway?
After the flood, I told them that driveway needs to be cut at the end and install linear drains, those metal mesh drains that you drive over. You've seen them everywhere, to correct the problem. And at the time, it was a very simple fix.
Before the driveway was poured, so I want to go back in time. I understand what you're saying in regard to this text, but before the driveway was poured, what did you tell Mr. and Mrs. Zitoun needed to be done with the driveway?
It needed to be it needed to be designed probably right, and it needed to have the right drainage and topography to it, so it wouldn't get into the house, into the garage.
And what happened instead?
I think they said cosmetically and aesthetically they didn't want to install drains right now, and they'll when they get their landscaping done, they'll do it all together at a future date.
Did you tell them that was a good idea or a bad idea?
I told them it needs to be done immediately.
And did they listen to your advice?
October 9th, I think after that, we just had few. Jordan would still text me through October. You know, how you doing? What can I do for you? Is there any deals? There's a house. Can you get some investors to buy this? Blah, blah, blah. But we were on very good friendly relationship, and I kept telling them they need to do something with the driveway. And
on this text that we're looking at, on the left-hand side, is that Ms. Zitoun that says, I think I need to cut concrete next to drain all the way across and install a graded drain that will carry water from sitting in that place. Was that Ms. Zitoun that said that to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And had she been in charge of the concrete and the drains as of that time?
She was present at all times.
No, my question is, who was in charge of it at that time?
They were.
And you told her what?
I told her, yes, you need to do immediately when it gets clear again.
Did Ms. Zitoun or Mr. Zitoun at that time ever tell you that you needed to come fix this issue?
No, as a matter of fact, they acknowledged it's not my problem.
After Mr. Zitoun sent you the email, it's Exhibit 75. I won't bring it up again because we've all seen it a bunch of times. But when Mr. Zitoun said, I know it's not your problem, what did you do anyways?
I went over there and I met with him, and I told him there's a quick fix for this, and you need to protect your home. Just worst case scenario, cut a piece of that driveway out and put the drains in until you decide what you want to do with your landscaping, so you can carry the whole theme together at that point. But immediately you need to do something, and that's it. And
Ms. Pettigreeson, can you finish? Can I see the rest of the text messages
So
for October 9th?
that is a great question, Yarna. Give me 1 second. So the actual exhibit we have cuts off on that very last one, but I was able to, Mr. El-Shami still had it on his phone, so he sent me a screenshot of that little part that's cut off. So it's technically not in the exhibit, but if you'll give me a moment, I can put it up on the screen because I figured Your Honor might want to see the last part of it. So give me 1 second. Here's what it says.
I have a problem. Whoa, take that down, please. I object. He's got new evidence not presented to us before on his phone, and they're trying to offer it.
3 lines of a text.
I don't care what it is.
Well, I'll let the judge tell me what to do.
So obviously there was something cut off here. Was there ever a request to get the full printout? Did I ever rule on any of this? I wish I could remember perfectly about these text messages, but this was produced in discovery. It wasn't produced. It was produced with it cut off. And was that ever brought to the other side's attention that it was cut off?
I was not involved, Your Honor, so I can't speak.
I
It
can,
was certainly, the request was certainly never made to me, but
Mr. Scott,
Your Honor, to refresh the court's recollection, this was the 6,000-page data dump that we complained was barely legible. And we asked Your Honor for an order, which you issued on May 11th, that they needed to reproduce all of their responsive documents, including electronic data and metadata. And so this was never reproduced to us in PDF format or an electronic format, these 6,000 pages. So we are seeing this for the first time now. Even it wasn't even in the exhibit that they produced 2 days ago. Excuse me, that was the trial exhibits that we met and conferred about. This wasn't part of it.
may I respond, Your Honor?
you may.
Two things. First, it's 3 lines. I haven't offered it. It's not that big of a deal. We don't necessarily need 3 lines. Second of all, it's interesting that their clients are on the other end of this text thread, and they certainly didn't produce this. So I'm not offering it. Your Honor asked, I put it up. We can do whatever Your Honor prefers. It's 3 lines.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to agree that if I ordered the metadata to be produced that wasn't produced, this shouldn't come in. So I'm not gonna admit that in this version, the original version will stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know Your Honor had asked a question. I'll move on if Your Honor allows, or if
No,
there's
what I'd like to see is, was this the end of this part of the conversation, or was there more text after these?
it's my understanding that's the end of the conversation.
Judge, I think the lawsuit was filed on October 4th. I think that's right. I have to consult that timeline. 5 days before this conversation, the last conversation.
Okay.
Yes, we have that in our timeline, Your Honor, which we've given to the court. I don't think it's been marked as an exhibit yet, but we do have a timeline that indicates that they filed the lawsuit on October 4th, 2018. This is Versailles suing our clients.
All right. All I was just really asking, was that the end of the text thread on this point? And so if it is, then that's helpful to know.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Actually, I have one other question. Was this text before or after the email where he says, I know this isn't your problem? Is that email?
Before. Yep, I'll put up that email. So the text you just saw, Your Honor, was October 2nd. And let me put up the text, excuse me.
I thought it was October 9th, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, October 9th. Oh, hold on 1 second.
The other one's September
I think
22nd.
I may have my dates wrong. I'm sorry, I have my dates wrong, Your Honor. Give me 1 second, I'll put up the email. The email is actually from September 22nd, not October.
May I say something, Julie?
Nope.
No.
My apologies.
Let's keep going.
Okay,
Yes.
may I continue, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay, so Mr. Elshamy, we were talking about the driveway, and it was your testimony that Mr. and Mrs. Zitoun took over the planning and pouring of the driveway. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did they use to pour the driveway?
A gentleman at the time I was using, his name is George Ramos.
And what happened to George Ramos? That was a broad question.
Yeah, rephrase that, please.
Too far. Is it your understanding that Mr. Ramos poured the driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it your understanding that Mr. Ramos was paid by the Zitouns for the work that he did on their driveway?
He was partially paid, and then we paid him too. Jordan told me that he had poured the driveway, and Ramos kept calling me, wanted to get paid, and I think we paid him. Yes, we paid him.
Okay, well, if you weren't in charge of the driveway, and if the Zitouns were the ones telling Mr. Ramos what to do, then why did you pay Mr. Ramos for the driveway?
I didn't want him to cause problems for the Zitouns, and plus he was working on a couple of other projects for me, and there's no reason for the man not to get paid labor.
If Mr. Ramos hadn't been paid, what could he have done to the property?
He probably would have filed the lien. I would assume. I don't know what he would have done. I'm just speculating.
If Mr. Ramos had filed a lien, would you have been able to get any additional draws?
Absolutely not, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna skip around a second. We looked at exhibit 51. I want to look at now at exhibit 58A. Just a moment. What is exhibit 58A?
It's a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet for the construction. That's the one that Prosperity was funding.
Who did you send this?
I sent it to Jason Bowley.
I'm going to show you exhibit 58B, which is the same spreadsheet, but a little better view of it. Are the columns at the, or I guess those are rows, are the rows at the top, do those indicate which draw money was being used for?
Basically, yes, ma'am.
Well, does it say draw 1, draw 2, draw 3, draw 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the items that are written in green, what are those items?
Those are items. I printed this actually, and Jordan should have a copy. We talked about the ones in the green, that these are monies that are not in the budget.
Okay. So let's look at countertops, for example, because that's one that's in the middle and a little bit bigger. It looks like in that first column for draw 1, there was a $5,000 allocation for countertops. Am I understanding this spreadsheet correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
And does your green box saying 10,000 mean there was 10,000 extra above the 5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are the green boxes or the green writing, are those all amounts that were incurred over what was on the draw budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to try something and see if I can get my calculator up and we can calculate them together, but I'm not sure this will work on Zoom. So we're going to give it a go. Do you see a calculator up on the screen by chance?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, I will represent to you that I'm going to add these up and you can double check me, Mr. El-Shami, actually. Let's see.
Miss Dean, why don't you go ahead and get your calculator out and go ahead and calculate the numbers that Ms. Pettit-Greason is going to use.
Perfect. Okay, so the first one is 8150, right?
Yes, ma'am.
First, and that second one is 12,000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The third one is 9,800.
Yes, ma'am.
The next one, I know it kind of looks like a 4,200, but that's 14,200, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then we've got a 5,000. Then we go to the left, we've got a 10,000. Then
Yes.
we've got a 7,750, and then a $10,345. If I tell you that that adds up to $77,245, does that seem accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Miss
You've added
Dean,
this.
Miss Dean, is that correct?
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay. So is
And just
77?
it's clear, Miss Dean is a intern for the court.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dean.
Thank you.
So Mr. El-Shami, on this exhibit that we're looking at, is that the amount of overages that you were calculating as of that date?
Yes, ma'am.
When I say that date, I'm referring to the date that it was in a text message with the mortgage broker, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you believed all of those amounts were owed as overages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it that number as well as exhibit 51 that you based the mechanics lien on?
Yes, ma'am.
Going back to exhibit 51 for a moment, which is the list of this agreement that you had with Mr. Zitoun. Did you sent this email to Mr. Zitoun on March 2nd, 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever tell you he disagreed with those amounts?
Never.
And who did he forward this to?
To his wife, Erin.
Did he forward it the same day to Ms. Zitoun?
I believe so. Yeah,
she-
the second day, sorry. What is it?
It's here at the top.
I don't remember, I can't say, but probably March 2nd, yes.
Okay, so the same day you sent it to Mr. Zitoun, he sent it to his wife.
Yes.
Did Mrs. Zitoun ever tell you that she disagreed with any of these amounts?
No.
Earlier, Mr. El-Shami, we spoke about, and I guess it was when we were talking about the plans, the drainage plans that you found at the time of trial. Do you keep a warehouse in Dallas?
My brother has a warehouse and I keep a lot of my stuff in it. Yes, I keep a warehouse, it's a huge place.
What types of things, Mr. El-Shami, do you keep in your warehouse?
Materials, construction materials mainly, cabinetries, rebars, tiles, marble.
During the building of the Zitoun's house, did you, at no cost, allow the Zitouns to use materials from the warehouse in their home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever go back and charge them for any of the materials that were used from your warehouse?
No, ma'am. It was just mental.
If you had to put a price tag on the amount of free materials that were put into the Maple Springs house from your warehouse, what would the approximate value be?
Probably 50 to 60 grand.
Do you ever ask them for any of that money back?
It was already in there. It was at the end when we agreed to the $76,000, everything came to a final decision.
Right, but my question is the amounts that you had given them from the warehouse. Did you ever go back and ask for reimbursement on those things that you had given them?
No, ma'am.
So that was just 50 or 60,000 that you gave to them.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's look at Exhibit 51. I'm sorry, we're gonna look at Exhibit 54. While I'm doing that, why did you give them all those materials for free and not seek reimbursement?
Objection, that's mischaracterization of what he said. He said it's all in the figures and that they agreed to.
I think the witness can answer if he understood my question.
Yeah, Mr. El-Shami, is that accurate what she's saying, or did you give it to him for free, or was it included in the numbers?
It was free.
Did you go back and ask them for reimbursements of the amount of the items that you just testified about that were given to them for free?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Consider them family. And then, you know, that was helping them. We were both on the same side.
I'll show you Exhibit 54. Is this an email to Mr. Boley?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, is it from Mr. Boley? I misspoke. Is it from Mr. Boley?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
was this to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if I can,
I believe so, yeah.
and I guess this was, does it look like he was talking to the bank and to you? Is that
Yeah, I think he
better characterization?
with me. Yes.
Okay, and tell us the highlighted part at the bottom. What was he recommending happen with the overages?
Which would be Versailles filing the lien and being paid off at closing.
Did you file a lien?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at Exhibit 59. Who is this email from?
From Mr. Parimal Patel.
I think you may be looking.
Sorry, my apologies. From Jordan Zitoun to Parimal Patel. My apologies.
And what's the date on this one?
May 7, 2018.
And can you read us what just the first sentence says of this email?
All is look good. A lot of work was done last week. All the appliances are in minus the fridge. Sanding and staining of hardwoods are being complete this week. There's plumbing in the master being worked on right now. Only plumbing remaining, pretty much. The fence is being complete now as well. It's up to Sam and Jason on the appraisal. I don't know what they need done to sign off on the appraisal to finalize the CO, which stands for Certificate of Occupancy.
Before this date, had Mr. Zitoun ever told you that he had any complaints about his home?
Never,
Had his wife?
never.
What is Mr. Zitoun referring to in this email, as far as you know, regarding needing to take some action regarding the appraisal and the CO?
Would you ask me that again?
Sure. What is Mr. Zitoun referring to, you and Jason Foley needing to take some action regarding to an appraisal and the CO?
He's saying, that everything looks good, and by the time they get the fridge and everything, they can go move to permanent financing.
What still needed,
If that's the answer.
what still needed to be done as of this point?
The sewer needed to be done. The permanent electric needed to be done. Landscaping definitely needed to be done. If you don't do landscaping, a lot of drainage, a lot of stuff needed to still be done.
Have you ever had any other customers move in with no CO in place?
Not to my knowledge.
You ever had any customers that move in when there's no sewer?
No, never.
How were the Zitouns getting water when they moved in?
There was, when you start construction, you have to tap into the city to get construction water. You get water, but you can't, it's not connected to the main sewer line. It's just temporary water and temporary electric. But it's not permanent. You can't take showers and you use toilets, etc.
Guys, we need to go ahead and break. So I think I mentioned yesterday that I have a number of things today. So we're going to reconvene at 2:00 today. And I will see you at 2:00.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.